Hi, welcome to Dreamcatcher, the program where you can find peace through understanding dreams and visions. My guest today, Ashlee, shares a few dreams. One of them she has remembered for over 10 years because of the joy it's brought into her life. She shares another dream that has brought more of anxiety, and yet she's about to find out that this dream, too, is a dream of hope. If you have dreams that have brought you either joy or anxiety, today's program should help you to have a little bit more insight on what the Lord is saying to you. Welcome to another episode of Dreamcatcher. I have a first-time guest with me today, Ashlee, and she is a friend of mine. She attends my church, and I can't wait to hear what the Lord's saying to her.
Okay, the first one, this was about 10 years ago, and I was in a rough place in my life, and I had a dream that I was in some sort of cylindrical pit, and everything was like a brownish, and it went down to a point, and I was sitting on a ledge, and across the pit, a little bit higher on another ledge, was a man, and he was reading. And I remember something about Lebanon, but that's all I remember in the dream. At that time, I didn't know anybody in Lebanon, had no reason to be in Lebanon, didn't know I would end up in Lebanon.
Do you have an idea what that was about? The pit's pretty symbolic.
Yeah, I believe over the years that dream has really, really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he was reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I come to that conclusion. I don't know who the man was, and that's really the only part of the dream that I don't have understanding for.
Well, I think he was an angel.
Okay.
He was, in the Bible, angels were always men. There was never a female angel that popped out. It was always men. And so even when you were in the pit, dark place in your life where it felt like the only way was down, and you were stuck, you were on a ledge, so how are you going to get off? What am I going to do? And even there, and the Word tells us that we can make our bed in hell, and God is with us. And this was an angel of the Lord. And whenever you have a dream, if it's from the Lord, there will be a scripture that will back it up. And sometimes it's just blatant. This is pretty blatant. Even if you make your bed in the pit, I'll be there with you, and He's there with you. And the Word, the Bible, the Word is Jesus. So He's there with you when you think you're all alone, when you think there's no way out. And sometimes life circumstances make us feel like we can't move, because if this was real life on that ledge, what could you do? Unless someone reached down and pulled you out, you couldn't do anything on your own without falling. So even in those times, He was there. And one reason you had that 10 years ago, and one reason that stays with you, is it is the Lord. He wants you to know that message is still for you today. It was for you 10 years ago, and It's for you now, that He's with you wherever you go, even on those times when you feel like you're paralyzed. Fear would do that, or paralyze you. You can't make any decisions because you don't know which is the right one. That was a beautiful promise for the Lord.
And then Lebanon in it, and how
And
I
then
ended
Lebanon.
up here. And that, here, this is where I met the Lord,
Oh, wow. So He was showing you direction and future. So this dream was prophetic, meaning it's showing you something that's going to happen, but it's also now. It's also now. I'm here, I'm with you. And even at the time, Lebanon might not have meant a whole lot, but here you are. And that's where you come into a relationship with the Lord. See, only God can do that. Yeah. That's not a pizza dream.
I had a friend, she was a very close friend of mine, and she passed away of a drug overdose.
Oh.
And I was with her when she died. I wasn't doing very well myself.
Right.
And 3 days after she died, I had a dream that I was chasing after her in this garage type, car parking lot type place, and I was running for her and I was calling her name. And then I come around the corner and she was standing at the back, like the back door of a car, and it was a black car, fully black tinted windows, you couldn't see in it. And she looked at me and she said, "Ashlee, I have to go. I have to go far, far away." And she got in the car and it drove off. Yeah. And I feel like that was kind of her goodbye, you know. But I could feel her fear.
Yeah.
And you know, she was scared. And
well, first of all, I want to assure you that there are going to be people in heaven that we don't think should be there. And we don't know. We do not know when someone leaves this earth what happened between that last breath here and the next breath in eternity. And with overdose, with suicide, for years people taught, like if you committed suicide, you were going to hell. Well, it doesn't say that anywhere in the Word of God. The Bible does not say that. We don't know that when someone is crossing over into death, their brain is still working. Their spirit is still alive until the Lord takes it. Their spirit is still there. And in that split second between heaven and earth, or eternity and earth, they can still reach out and cry out. And so I always like to make sure people don't just assume their loved one is in hell. They may be, but we don't know if she was someone who just was totally against the Lord her whole life, or was she searching? Was drugs just a cry for help? You know, it's very easy for someone who's out there, who's never had an addiction, and I've never had an addiction. So it's very easy to say, well, they were just sinning, but it's an addiction. It's the symptom of what's going on, of something else.
Right.
And so I don't want you to think that absolutely forever she's in hell, because we don't know that. And as a matter of fact, I believe because this dream was pretty calm, it was a goodbye, it was peaceful, she wasn't screaming, she was afraid. A lot of people are afraid, especially if you haven't really been living like you should. But I feel like it was a goodbye, and the Lord was telling you that it was a goodbye and that it was okay. And the reason you're in a parking lot is cars, vehicles are moves of God. That's what they symbolize. And these cars are parked. These are lives of people who aren't walking in their calling. And at the time, you and she don't sound like you were walking in the call that the Lord had for you. And so this is potential. It wasn't a graveyard. It wasn't a junkyard. They were cars that were parked. These were people who have, moves of the Lord that were just not being used. And she was getting into hers. But at that time, at that point, her time was over. And she was going far away. She was leaving. But the devil would never give you something to comfort you. I mean, that's just not who he is. And this was more of a comforting dream. As I watch you tell it, you're not afraid, you were concerned because she was afraid, but I believe the Lord was letting her say goodbye to you. And it is somewhat, maybe not connected, but very much like your first dream. In a dark place, the Lord is still there, there's still hope. And with her, she got to see you, she got to say, I've got to go. She was nervous. Well, I think we're all going to be nervous if, we're going to meet the creator of everything. In the Bible, when people met an angel, they fell out on their faces with fear. I mean, that's normal. So if that was me having that dream about a friend, regardless of what that friend was doing at the time, I would take peace in that I would choose to believe that it was the Lord letting her say goodbye to you. It's not to confuse people. There's going to be good people, what we consider good people, who miss heaven. But God knows their hearts. God knows her heart. God knows what caused her to have or think she had to have something in her body to help her through. He knows that. He knows the pain and the loneliness and what caused that. And he loves her more than you loved her and more than her parents loved her. And he wanted her with him. So it was really her decision. And this is my opinion, but my opinion is that I think God gives us that chance, and we don't know what happened between her and the Lord in those last moments.
Right.
And that's, to me, is hope. The first dream especially was showing hope in a dark place where there seemed no hope. And I feel like the second dream has the same message, that there's hope when there was no hope. Dreamcatcher Journal. It's geared to help you catch your dreams with over 50 scriptures, inspirational words, and revelations, all pointing to dreams and dream interpretation.
I have one of your books and I love it.
Straight from the Bible, over 90 symbols that you can compare your dreams with and find the scripture that might help you interpret your dream. Find out what it is the Lord is saying to you. Get Dreamcatcher Journal to help catch your dreams.
Okay, so the third one was I'd say about 4 months ago.
Okay.
And my boys, which is my middle child and my youngest, they're 21 and 13, they brought me this tree. And it was in a pot, and it was, there was sand. It was sand in the pot with the tree. And they gave it to me, but they were standing in my dream the whole time. But they were just standing there. And it started to rain, and the rain washed the sand out of the pot. And then I said in my dream, well, I need to get some more sand for this pot. And then I said, no, I'm going to get soil this time. And then I woke up. So I understand the sand and the soil. My boys, I'm not quite sure what that had to do with it.
Well, a tree represents life, and many times it represents a family tree. This is your boys and you. This is your family, and this is life. So I believe this is your family tree. And in the beginning, it wasn't in a good foundation. It wasn't in what it should be in.
Right.
It was loose, and the least little thing would wash it away. But when time came to refill it with wisdom and with growth, you were like, no, we're not going to put sand back in it. I know what it came with, but we're going to put soil in it this time. We're going to give these roots a good foundation. They're giving back to you. You gave them life, and now they want to come and offer you life back.
Well, they're the two children I'm worried about the most. Not that they have any serious
Right.
Issues.
It's just
thus
a
far.
mama thing.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
They're just the ones that I worry about bringing to the Lord. My daughter, she's building her relationship with the Lord, and my sons, they're just like, they just really don't want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. What I felt with the dream, with them giving it to me, it was kind of, to me, the Lord just telling me, they'll get it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And not to give up. It's a dream of hope again. It's not to give up, because they're presenting you with a present, and if you had been using, it sounds like for a while prior, then they've seen that. At their ages, they have seen things, and yet they're still bringing you a present. So that's showing that they still love you. And it's probably confusing to them. And when we have this great life change, to us it's just the best thing ever. But if you have children and they've grown up with this mama all these years, and even if the change is good, it's still different. And so it's probably confusing. And there may be a little bit of, yeah, well, let's wait and see there,
Right.
you know. And they're at the age of independent thinking, you know, and a lot of people kind of go their own way at those ages, especially. But they came together and they presented this to you, and so you're absolutely right. The Lord it's a dream of hope, and He's saying they are going to come back, and it is because these are the ones that you're concerned. You know, the daughter's all right, and she's getting there, but they will get it too. And it's interesting that it was a tree, because as it grows, you can you can watch them grow as well.
There were some baby leaves on the tree as well. So.
And those little baby leaves are going to grow. And the tree gives you something to measure by. You know, as that tree was so small and now it's here, and you're like, wow, you know, look what that's done. Those leaves grow. So yeah, that's sweet. And they will give you life back as well. In a family, it should be both ways. You know, we give them life, but there comes a point, hopefully we live long enough, that we're going to need them to usher life into us as well.
Sure.
So, and these are promises from the Lord for you. That's great. And I like how it's so interesting, those of you who watch, Ashlee's dreams are 2 sentences long. They're like, this happened and that happened. And some people come on here and their dreams are 3 pages long. But that's the Lord. He speaks to us in ways that we understand. And sometimes you think it's not that important. It's one scene, but there's a lot of power in those one scenes.
Well, I see you tuned back into Dreamcatcher. I would like to encourage you today that you have a hiding place in God. I'm going to let that sink in. Sometimes that word has to take a minute to sink in. I want you to be like a big sponge. Go, soak that all up. We have a hiding place in God that Satan can't mess with us if we're doing the will of God, where God said, when God said, to whom God said, with the word God said. Now that's no longer, Paul said, when I do that, it's not I, but it's Christ that lives in me. Remember, greater is He, that He is the one that's in you. And if that same Spirit raised Christ from the dead dwells in you, it'll quicken your mortal body, especially in a time of seemingly total chaos. Well, I'm ready for my hiding place. Are you? You know, I used to play hide and seek. You did too. Thank you. I seen that hand raised. Yeah, I don't know what time you're seeing it, but I seen that hand raised. Yeah, I played hide and seek, and I always tried to find the best place to hide. And they'd count, by tens down to 1, ready or not, here I come. So sometimes Satan's messing with you like that. And he says, ready or not, I'm going to do what this and do that. And you go, wait. I have time to hide. I'm going to hide in the God that I serve. You get through Him, you can mess with me. I've got a hiding place. You hide now, hide in God, and watch what God does for you. And then when He's lifted up, He'll draw all men to Him. Till next time, dream like you've never dreamed before. Catch your dream.
I have one more. I'm not sure if it has any meaning at all, but it was about last week.
Okay.
My stepfather, who passed away, was sitting at like a kitchen table with my mom, and they were talking to just a random secular artist. And then all of a sudden, I don't know where it came from, but this stack of money, I guess it was tossed at me, and I caught it on my back. And that was it.
The subject is worldly or secular music and the money that it can bring. But it was on your back, which is a burden. We carry burdens on our back. The idea in this dream is the money was a burden. And if you're struggling and you're a single mom and you got 3 two boys and a girl, you know, there's a lot going on. It's easy to go, oh Lord, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to do this? You know, my kids are getting older. The money isn't, I mean, we need it. It's the way this world works. But He is our provider. And the money can be a burden where He wants us to lay our burdens at His feet. He wants us to put our cares on Him because He cares for us. You know, it's tempting sometimes to watch TV and see this. Even praise and worship, even a born-again believer singing or writing or a minister, and see the mega church or the huge ministry, you know, whatever your gift is, and say, well, how come they can do that, and here I am still struggling. And it's very easy to do, but the Lord is, I believe this dream is about, I'm your provider. I have this. And who knows, it may be because this dream was so recent, this dream doesn't, I don't get any more clarity than that on these symbols. But tomorrow, something may happen where you'll go, oh, that's what that dream was. Because the dreams aren't really for me to know how they affect your life. I'm just here to tell you what the symbols are and how Holy Spirit is talking to you, and then it's up to you to search the Word and search the answers and just ask Him, Lord, okay, I know this has to do with you being my provider, but am I doing something? Am I thinking? Do I need to do something differently? You know, just, and He'll show you, and many times it'll happen later. I've had several people come on the program and say, first of all, that they've had a dream from the time that we try to set up a studio to the time they get, most people have a dream, which I think is so cool, that I guess it's because you're thinking about it and maybe you're open and the Lord is going, okay, you're going on there, so let me give you one. And several of them also will say, we have a dream, we talk about it, and then shortly later, they're just going through life and they'll go, that's what that dream meant, that's what that was.
You know, I recently moved, and my rent increased quite a bit. And I don't feel like I settled for the house that I got. It was what I wanted.
Good.
It was the house I wanted. And, you know, I could see God's fingerprints all over it.
Right.
So in getting it, the rent, the deposit was double the rent. And I knew He would provide. I knew, and He did. And then even in that, which I moved 10 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
Even in that, I was able to provide Christmas for my family.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, and my bills are still paid. You know, and I don't even get paid that well, you know.
And this was a move that you had to do.
Yes.
Because they were selling your place or something. It was,
Yes, it wasn't really a choice.
Right.
It was I had to go.
Right.
So He made it work, and He's made sure that everything has been paid, nothing has been late. I was able to provide Christmas, and I know He's got it. I know He'll make a way, and I don't really worry about the money. And sometimes I'll sit back and I'll think, I don't know how I'm going to come up with this, but I know You've got it, Lord, because this was Your plan, and I know.
Yeah.
You know, so is it a burden? You know, it's sort of in a way, because I just work, you know, because I feel, you know, faith without works is dead. So I've got to go out here and work with the faith,
right?
And God will provide the money, and I know that He will, and I'm really strong and believe in that. So I don't feel like I've really worried so much.
Good.
You know, about, you know, my financial situation, because I know He's Jehovah Jireh.
Yeah.
You know, He is my provider, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so the money on my back being a burden, you know, maybe I have stressed it more than.
I feel like it was more the Lord showing you what the burden can be. Because this guy, this artist, this person, you know, they have the world at their fingertips according to what we believe, what we think. We
Right,
look at what we
right.
see. And what would that feel like? What it would feel like a burden. I don't think it was the Lord telling you that you're doing it wrong. I think He's just kind of showing you where you are, because what you just did was you just compared your life to this person in this dream, this artist. And this artist seems to have probably a beautiful home, a nice car, and
And a great story,
yeah,
Yeah.
but probably burdened.
Right.
And yet here you are on the other side of that, but you're looking up and you're going forward and you're going from glory to glory and you're making your bills. And even when the enemy or life made you have to leave right at Christmas, that wasn't your choice. That was something that had to happen. And look how the Lord provided. So yeah, I like the way you compared it, and it could just be for that reason, to compare the two, to go, this is what looks good, but this is what you have.
Right.
You weren't involved in the dream, in the conversation.
No,
So-
I mean, like I said, I was really just kind of looking in on it.
Yeah. So when you have a dream, that's important when you're trying to figure out what your dreams mean. If you're very involved in the dream couldn't be about you. But this dream, you're in it, but you're not as involved. This is kind of between them. And sometimes in a dream, you're not even in it, but you're aware. Those kind of dreams are typically about someone else.
Okay.
Because you're not in it at all. You're in this one, but kind of as an onlooker, even though you're in the dream. And so that's why I think your comparison is pretty accurate, because it's like this is what they're talking about, not me. This is what they're talking about, and it's people do. They talk about, man, did you see, like the royal family? Did you see so and so and that big old castle they live in, and what a burden. I mean, we're finding out what a burden that is. I think you received that dream correctly as to what it means for you.
Hi, my name is Amber, and Miss Robin just did dream interpretation for me and a lot of other people. And I really appreciated her input and insight on the dreams that I had. It helped me to really understand my dreams even deeper than I already understood them. And it all just kind of sat well with me.
Are you looking for a speaker for your next retreat or event? Robin's transparent style comforts and soothes during personal ministry and dream interpretation. She has encouraged thousands around the globe by helping them find peace through understanding.
Well, as you can see, sometimes we spend years of our lives worrying about a message in a dream that may not be what we thought it was at all. If you have a dream that's causing you anxiety, come to the studio. Let me help you and bless others at the same time. Catch us here next time on Dreamcatcher and catch your dreams.